Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Royal Instinct. Today we're going to be watching a couple of videos that I found on YouTube. Why dating is over in 2026, men are not going out, and why introverts are hated. Okay, we live in a time where loneliness is, um, you know, an epidemic at the moment. People aren't going out. People don't have any friends. People have um, nobody to rely on. The system and governments with their policies have corrupted society. People don't know who to turn to. People don't know what to do, and the result is people staying indoors, not socializing, not going out, and are checking out of society. Um, the dating market is absolutely broken. Um, most people use dating apps to find a partner, and the numbers are coming in that they are skewed. Okay, women aren't matching guys unless they're 6 foot and above. um and now men have resorted to lying on their dating profiles in order to even just get a chance at being part of the game, so they can get a chance to have a date, get a match, be able to say something witty in order to um, try and get the foot in the door. The problem with that is if you're trying to, you know, get your foot in the door, if you're trying to um, get a date by trying to prove yourself, is you've already kind of lost. Women are terrible decision makers when it comes to men. And most women will tell you about their crazy ex that they ever went out with. Um, and they they aren't making correct decisions. Okay, what you have to do to play the game outside of the normal rules is to create your own rules. Okay, and that is what this channel is all about. We are here to establish kingdoms, to become kings, to live lives of royalty, where we aren't bounded by the constraints of society. Okay, we are coming up with our own society. We are establishing our own lands, and we will be prosperous. Okay, but let's jump into this video. Sorry, let me just pause it as soon as I press it. Hang on. Okay, I just want to see this picture. What you have is a woman. She's leaning back. She's acting like the judge. She is acting like the decision maker. She is the queen in this scenario. Yeah, she is the queen in this scenario. She is passing judgment, and the jester is there to entertain. Okay, when you are a queen, when you're trying to date a queen, you can't come at her with just a maxing energy. Okay, you have to come at her as a king. You have to come with a kingdom. Okay, you have to prove yourself to her. You have to, and when I say prove yourself to her, it is not by dancing or being a clown like this guy. It is by coming with such a reputation where before you even enter, before she enters your palace, she already knows who you are. Okay, and then the dynamics have changed, and you can sit back on your throne and pass judgment as she is. Okay, that is the ideal the dynamic that you want to be in. That is the buyer's dynamic. Okay, you're not selling, you're just buying, and if you don't like the look of the goods, then you can move on with your life. But let's jump into this video.
So this GIF has been going viral, and I think it's one of the best GIFs I've ever seen. Everyone loves to talk about why my generation is so bad at dating and why everyone's alone, especially those who aren't actually dating themselves, just rage bait into content. But no one ever talks about what it feels like as someone who's in the trenches currently dating, I haven't given up yet, what that actually feels like. And why is it that a jester actually represents that feeling? So there's two types of dating that you can be doing right now. You can either be online or offline, and they're very different. And we're trending more and more online as a society. But I think we should start with offline, the old school approaching in a bar or some shit. And to be honest, I do think this is the move, but I also think it's not as simple as some.
He thinks it's the move because he's tried to do online dating and he has not found success on there. I'm someone who used to be part of the pickup community. I'm someone who's done well over 4,000 approaches, and I can tell you that that dynamic of being the jester, right? Whether even if you had a cool guy, it is the energy of the jester, because the reason for that is you're going in offering your services, okay, and then by doing that is you put yourself in a frame of that you are the seller, right? You're not choosing, you're there to sell, you're not the one that is there to buy. And you know, if you create a scenario where there is lots of competition, right, then the prices of that market come down because it's flooded with sellers. And at the moment, because of the loneliness crisis, there's so many men trying to sell their products on the market, that these women are allowed to be picky and choosy and navigate the market on their terms, right? I'm telling you to get out of that system, to navigate the system in a whole new way by becoming the buyer. And if you want to position yourself in the buyer, as a buyer, then you have to turn yourself into a king. You have to turn yourself into someone who owns a kingdom, who is above the system, who is playing life on their own rules. Okay, there are many people who will try and sell you a trick or some way of getting the results without putting in the effort. But the best way to do that is by establishing your own kingdom and playing life by its own rules. Okay, because even if you're someone who is in the current system, the government and the people in charge and the elites will always win. They will always be able to put you in a box. They will always be able to extract resources and time from you. What I'm saying is that we need to leave the current system and come up with a whole new one.
Some of these boomers think it is like, oh, just go up to the pretty girl in the coffee shop or at the gym. Something a lot of older people don't realize is that we live in a low trust society right now. Like, I don't think it's ever been lower.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're in a Western country, Western countries were seen as high trust, especially the Scandinavian countries. Germany was seen as a high trust society, and even England, you can say in the 50s and 60s was a high trust society, but that is over time eroded. You can say is an influx of immigration when you have different cultures flooding the incumbent culture or the natives of that land. People are more skeptical. People are less willing to be open and be trustworthy of others. Okay, it is built into human biology. We are hardwired to not trust people who are different to us, right? And a big component of racism is that hardwiring, is because if somebody is different to you, they could possibly threaten your life, threaten your immune system. They could carry diseases or bacteria that you are not immune to, and they could also end your life by being hostile towards you and trying to take over your land. Okay. However, we live in a society where we are also can see how globalization has impacted the world, and we can make decisions on who we want to spend time with. Okay, the elites and the current media will have you divided by your race. They want you to keep you divided by your skin color, your race. However, the real war that is taking place that everyone's blind to is the war between the people at the top and everybody else, right? And what I want for you, what I want to the place that I want you to take you is that you become an elite right? That you establish a society, a group of people that you trust, and become the new elite in your own right. Then you can establish your own rules. Then you can be part of the decision making and planning of an economy, of a society, and you get to live a life of luxury, right? Why should you have people making decisions on your behalf? You should be the decision maker. Okay, so that is what we're doing here. This is a bat signal. This is a call to adventure, if you like. I'm looking for the Avengers. I'm looking for the people who want to become heroes, who want to have had enough of the current system, who want to, try to hand at something new, build a whole new society, build a new land, and become the de facto rulers of the world.
So that means that everyone assumes the worst intentions in everyone else. Meaning, if you're going to start a random interaction with a stranger, the assumption that you're going to have to break is that you are not a serial killer. For example, last week I'm at the bar with my friend. We're talking to these two girls that are from Canada. Good conversation. It's going well. Then they wanted to go to a new spot. So one of them runs to the bathroom, and we're still talking to the friend at a booth right in front of the exit. So it takes her like 20 minutes to come back from the bathroom. And I didn't say anything out loud, but in my head I was like,
is this girl taking a shit?
You know what I mean? But it turns out that she couldn't find us after she had came out of the bathroom, because this is a pretty big bar and there's a lot of people there. So she started calling her friend. Her friend wasn't picking up.
I just like the image of the guy, like, he's there. He finally gets to chat to a girl. He's thinking like the vibe's going well, and then like he disappears for 20 minutes, and then he's just there thinking like, oh, she's taking a shit. Like, what a turn off straight away, right? That that he and he's just there wondering if he's gonna like get a waft of shit from in the bathroom
up because she was talking to us. So this girl finally comes back. She's like on the verge of tears, talking about, oh my god, I thought you kidnapped her, like I thought I was about to call the cops. And it's just like, what? Like we were just having a great time, but then you remember the type of shit that you see on Twitter and you see on the news every single day, and it makes sense, but it sucks because
a big thing is that the current media landscape, the current things that people are rage baiting about is how you can't trust certain groups of people, how you can't trust other minorities, other ethnicities, other nationals, other religions, and people are being divided into smaller and smaller segments. In essence, at some stage, it's going to get so small that you can't trust anyone. Okay, which is why you'll be left isolated. Which is why you'll be left depressed, lonely, by yourself, and that is the position that I don't want you to be in. The best way to beat depression is to start expressing yourself, become who you were meant to be, become somebody who is a genius, somebody who is able to turn their passion into a life purpose and bring about new knowledge for the human race, new insight to progress humanity forward. Okay, that is something that AI can't replace us with. That is something that AI is lacking, right? AI is a great tool to be used. However, to be a decision maker, which is what the world needs, it needs leaders. It needs strong leaders. It needs people who are willing to put their balls on the line and go for what they believe in and guide the people to a new and better world.
I'll tell you why it sucks, because you have to start off with this assumption that you're like a creep on like some Epstein shit, right? And I feel like, I don't know, I just think it would be nice. I mean, I think it would be easier to approach strangers if trust was the default, right? And you talk to older people and it seems like it used to be, but like I said, I understand why it's not. And there's always been creeps, but now we see them on our phones 24/7. So it's like you think that everyone's
a big thing is there's also, it's like, society has always had fear mongering, especially not to trust people, not to go too far, not to go with strangers. But however, when you have newspapers and the news, then those types of stories get more airtime. People are more aware of those types of stories, and when people are more aware of those types of stories, they tend to stick to the front of your brain, and then it's kind of just becomes this all-consuming thing. What the algorithms, things like Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, right? What they have done is they've sensationalized these type of headlines or news articles or news stories, and then you end up and your algorithm ends up showing you only that type of content, to the point of where you then are walking around anxious at your brain, scared for yourself, for your loved ones, that all these bad things will happen to you. Do you right? If you think that kidnappings are on the rise, and they're the types of stories that you find online, then you are more likely to be anxious about being kidnapped. It's just what it is. I suggest you take a break from social media. I suggest that you curate your algorithm to show you more positive things. Although it's hard, because humans are hardwired to dwell on the negative, because avoiding negative issues, negative problems is more likely to result in your survival, and the survival of your offspring and loved ones. Okay. However, you also have to be aware of how your brain is set up, how your brain works, and how to avoid stressful situations. Don't live a life full of anxiety. Live a life full of positivity, full of high serotonin. Become someone who is just good vibes to be around, right? Like, become somebody who people look up to, people aspire to be like. Build your kingdom, live a life of luxury, right? And then it becomes this feedback loop of that, you're living your purpose, you're living your zone of genius, you're making money, you're establishing kingdom, you're networking, you become a king, and then it's just, you're just being this like vortex of just positivity going up and up and up.
The creep if you're spending too much time on your phone. And then you combine that with the fact that there are real life creeps going up to these girls, and it's like, no shit, they're going to be on the defensive, and you have to lock in as a.
The other thing is most people have forgotten how to socialize now as well. It's like, especially because of the pandemic, it's something that exasperated the situation. People don't know how to socialize, and therefore they end up making, awkward social situations for themselves, and especially women that they're attracted to, and then they end up coming off as creeps because they just don't know any better. There wasn't a school or fraternity that they joined where they could have learned such stuff. Young people, especially Gen Z, are drinking less and less. They're not going out as much because they don't have the underlying social skills to deal with that type of situation. More and more people end up with anxiety, and more people end up becoming introverts. Okay, which is a topic we're going to talk about later, is why introverts are hated and what you can do to avoid such a circumstance for yourself.
Jester to prove them wrong. I'm sorry, I just love the word jester, and that every year on Google Trends it's getting used more and more because it's like such an old word. But seriously, it creates this weird thing where it's like I don't know, man, like even if a girl is looking at me, I'm still kind of tripping about going up to her and saying what's good, and it's because of this. And like the worst part is that the guys who are actually creepy, they're not gonna stop being creepy. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah, the other thing is like, you're also worried about an interaction where if you do go up to someone and then, what if you end up saying the same wrong thing, and then she ends up recording you and posting you online, and then your whole social reputation has just gone out the window. Okay, you need to be able to handle fear. You need to be handle, social pressure. You need to be able to handle, failures in life. Because if you don't, it will always keep you stuck. You will not progress, and you will not make any success towards your goals.
still gonna go up and approach every single girl and make them uncomfortable. Like I've met people that are like this, so it's like a compounding effect, because the only guys approaching girls now are the creepy ones, because the regular dudes are not trying to be creepy. You know what I mean?
I remember I read this book once. It's called 60 Years of Challenge. And in that book, I think it's called Fearless Escalation. He actually says you need to risk being creepy. That book was written in the early 2000s. So I wonder if he would have a new stance on it. But I remember explicitly that he said you need to risk being creepy, because unless you risk being creepy, then you're not going to make that that leap forward. Because if you're approaching someone, it's always creepy. It's always creepy to approach someone, right? So you have to take that risk for the off chance that she likes you, and then you can progress into dating.
And to be honest, like, I've always been so ass at making that first move, and I think this is a big part of it. Like, once the conversation starts, I'm always good, but that first move, man, it's like I just feel like such a weirdo doing it.
Especially if people aren't going out and drinking. Like, one thing was when everybody was drinking, that you could be drunk enough, get enough Dutch courage, and then you can just bump into someone, be like, hey, like, where are you from? And then just have a conversation starting. But if everybody's sober, and then you're like, hey, where are you from? The rational part of her brain would be like, why are you even asking me that? Like, are you trying to kidnap me? And then you end up in a society that's not dating, not having sex, in a very sterile society, and no progress is being made.
Every time. And this is, I mean, I know a lot of people feel like this. There's more, I don't know, I feel like this is a more fixable problem. But what is really bad about this is that dating apps, they don't have any of this friction, right? So sliding into Instagram DMs does not require this. So
yeah, there's no friction, but there's also more competition because there is less friction. The only solution left is, look, if you're competing on dating apps, you have to also be aware that you're competing with just so many people, right? And then if you are approaching people in real life, then you have to remember that you're going to come across as creepy because you just know who you are. The best thing to do is to establish a kingdom, become a king, become somebody who is seen, become a leader, become someone people look up to, people aspire to be, build a reputation for yourself, build a name for yourself, right? People call it personal branding. I call it becoming, that's why I call it your royal instinct, because you are becoming aligned with the part of you that's striving for royalty. Okay. If you present yourself as royalty, if you become a king, you will have thousands of women lining up to become your queen, right? Every woman in the world sees herself as a queen. And then naturally, the only people she will date is kings, people who establish themselves as kings, who build kingdoms, who have lives of luxury, who have lives of, on their own terms, have that real freedom. Okay. Don't just go for financial freedom, go for freedom in all realms of life. Okay. But let's jump into this next video. Let's listen to this guy for a bit.
The summer before freshman year, I had matched with this one girl on the Tinder app. And I remember when I matched with her, I don't even remember really swiping right, but I remember looking, I was like, I'm not really attracted to this girl physically. So I was just going to ghost her and just leave the whole situation alone. But she had kept nagging me and nagging me and nagging me to go on this date, right? This was like the summer before college.
So he's already compromising himself. So he doesn't want to actually go on the date. But he's being nagged into it. Okay. You can already tell that this guy is not in charge of his life. He's not in charge of his own, he's not in touch with his own criteria for how he wants his life to be. It was probably a case of like, she keeps nagging him. He doesn't have any other options and he has to end up going on this date. He already said that he's not really attracted to this woman. Okay. So from the offset, it's just a mistake waiting to happen. Okay.
And eventually I low-key folded. I was like, all right. And the only reason I folded was not because I eventually found her attractive.
He folded because he's weak. Okay. And I don't want you to be in a position where you are weak. I want you to be in a position of strength. And the only way that you can do that is by becoming a king and building your kingdom.
Attractive. I didn't find her attractive at all, really. I don't even know why I swiped right. I don't know. I was just swiping right on everybody at the time or something. I don't really know. But she promised to take me out on this date, and she was gonna drive me a couple of places. Actually, this is right when school started, but she was gonna drive me places, and she was gonna show me, and she was gonna pay for it. She offered.
She's just bribing him basically, right? She's bribing him. He doesn't have any other options going for himself, so he went for it. And that's an interesting dynamic, right? Because you have to think that he's getting all this free stuff. She's driving him everywhere. She's paying for stuff. He doesn't actually like her, but because he's getting all this free shit, he's willing to go with it. Most of modern dating from a woman's side is like that. Okay, like she doesn't really like you, but because you offer all this financial shit, you're able to drive her, you're able to be a chauffeur, you're able to entertain her, you're able to be a jester, you're able to protect her from all these things, right? You're able to do all these things. She can cry. You become her therapist, her emotional tampon. She ends up going along with you up until the point that a better option comes, right? But I want you to come from a position of where you are just the final option, and then she wants to date you, but she's the one who has to prove herself to you. Okay, this guy is nearly doing it. He is this close to doing it, except he doesn't find her attractive. All right, so he is literally being chauffeured around by some pig, right? Some fat girl probably, because he doesn't find her attractive. Like a girl doesn't have to be amazing to be attractive, right? Like, be not fat, do your makeup okay, have decent hair. Like it's like the criteria for a man to fuck a woman is so low, which is why we call shallow, right? It just takes like just a superficial layer, right? However, even that, this guy doesn't find her attractive, okay? But he's willing to compromise himself, right? It's the worst position to be in, right? Because it will always backfire on the guy. When a woman does it, she walks away. She's like, yeah, she found a better man. But if a man does it and finds a better woman, right, you're always seen as the bad guy, right? Don't put yourself in a position like that. And second of all, don't give a shit either, okay? That is why you should have your own kingdom, become a king, right? So you just have offers from women, dating potential coming towards you, instead of you having to go out there and find the next romantic relationship.
Do all this stuff. She tried so hard to go on this date. And I was like, you know what? Sure, if you're gonna do all that for me, I might as well, right?
That's very feminine. That is a feminine attitude. He's like, oh, okay, if you're gonna do all that for me, I'll come along, right? I don't really like you, right? But if you're willing to do all those things, I'll go along with you. That is not being a king. That is being he's being a queen right now. Okay, he's in his queen energy. Right. Then these are not the types of queens that we go for. We go for actual women. We don't go for transmaxing. If you're into that shit, good for you, man. Like, live life on your own terms. But what the philosophy that we discuss on this channel is more about being aligned with becoming the ultimate decision maker, right? You're gonna have times in life where you are alone, where you are lonely, and you're able to pull yourself through without being reliant on other people. Now, just because you aren't relying on other people doesn't mean that you shouldn't have friends. Having friends is the best thing in the world, I actually think. And if you're in a position where you are friends of people of this similar stature as you, where if you are a king, right? If you're a king, who are you going to be friends with? It's going to be a king like me, right? That's why we're trying to build the United Alliance of Kings. You will help me build my kingdom. I will help you build your kingdom. We will together conquer the world, expand our territories, invade new lands, and live lives that we were destined to live. Okay, but don't be like this guy who's just letting life happen to him. It's very feminine energy.
And I went on this date, and I remember it was cool, but the entire time in my head, I'm thinking, yo, how? Like, I just want this to be over. Like
that is not the position you want to be in. Okay, he's put himself in the position where he's not enjoying the interaction, but he has to, endure it to get all this free stuff. It's like, I'd rather just not have the free stuff. I'd rather have enough money to buy my own shit, so I don't have to put myself in a position where, I'm spending time with people that I don't want to spend time with.
But she promised to take me out on this date and over. Like, I don't even like this girl. She's not attracted to me. And I can tell that she wanted to, like, she was ready to go. She wanted to get freaky, you know what I'm saying? And it got so bad to the point where I literally faked a phone call. I've never faked a phone call in my life until this date. But I remember we was like talking. She took me to the beach or whatever. She drove, by the way.
What type of man, right, allows a woman to plan the date for him, she takes him on to the beach, okay? When I say become a king and let women compete for you, I'm not telling you to then allow the woman to dictate your life, okay? It should be a case of where, you know, you're the king, women come on, they come to you, they offer themselves to you, and you invite them. You know, if you like them, you invite them to do some cool shit with you. Or if you don't find them attractive, if you don't want to spend time with them, then, you know, you just ignore them, right? Because you have so many other opportunities going. It's like, you know, you just ignore it and just spend time with the people that you want to spend time with, right? But don't be like this guy, you know, getting driven around town, you know, getting taken to a picnic or a beach, and then, you know, she's expecting, you know, some pipe from you at the end of the day, and then you're just like not into it. You can't even get hard, and then what, right? So you're on a date with someone, you're not attracted to them, you're not enjoying their company, right? At the end of the day, she wants some pipe from you, right? You don't find it attractive, so then you can't perform, right? What happens next? Okay, she will end up telling all your friends, all her friends, everybody at your school, everybody at your college, everybody at your work that, you know, you couldn't perform, that you couldn't get hard, and she'll turn you into a joke, right? So don't put yourself in a position like that. You know, spend time with people that you actually want to spend time with, be a king and build your kingdom.
And everything. I didn't drive or nothing. Like, I was getting treated. So she took me to the beach and everything, and she was talking about some other stuff. She was talking about some crazy stuff. Like, she got a restraining order on her mom and everything.
I mean, that's just a red flag, isn't it? Like, you know, if you're dating someone who's got a restraining order on their own parent, it's like you're already fucked at that point, right? You're so fucked. Don't put yourself in a place like that.
So I was like, yeah, I ain't gonna lie, this girl crazy. So I went ahead, I faked a phone call, and I was like, yeah, you know, because I was in track at the time. I was like, yeah, I got a meeting. Mind you, it was like 10:30 p.m. I was like, yeah, I got a late night emergency meeting for track. And she's like, oh. And like, I could tell that she knew it was cap, but I didn't care. I had to get out of there. I wasn't rocking with her at all, and she was crazy. So on the way back, she was like, oh, I kind of felt bad. She was like, oh, I'm always getting curved. I'm never getting a second date. I was like, yeah, nah, you'll get a second date. She wasn't getting no second date from me. Hell no.
So, you know, then he's also compromising himself by lying straight to her face. Don't put yourself in a position where you have to lie. And also this guy is like, he's got like a nose ring, 2 nose rings, you know. It's just a very odd look, right? And then he's saying that he's not finding this girl attractive. You know, I want to see a picture of this girl, right? Is he, maybe he's just not into girls at this stage.
I didn't even want to go in the first one. But when I finally got back, I was like, man, thank God that is over. But then I also thought to myself, I just had the experience that most females have.
Yep. I mean, you know, the penny dropped for him. That is exactly what I'm saying to him. It's like, that is the experience that most women have, right? They get chauffeured around, they get entertained by all these guys. At the end of the night, they don't want to spend time with you. They make up some excuse, and then you will never get a second date because she just used you for a free meal, you know, a free ride, a free night of entertainment, without the sex. You know, let's see what more of an insight this guy has
these days. Like most women, like I felt like I was a woman in the situation because what she went through is what the average guy goes through, right? So what the average guy goes through when it comes to dating is you meet a girl, you link with a girl for the first time, whatever, you start talking, and, you know, she has all these expectations and rules. And the reason why is because these days there's social media. So girls, a lot of them, you know, they be getting confused because, like, they be seeing, oh, yo, man, got to pay for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. I mean, social media will have women telling them that the man needs to pay for everything, and then you have the feminist movement saying that everything should be split 50-50. Most people are just confused. Most people have no clue what is going on. You know, this is what I mean. The social contract has failed. Society has failed. We're moving towards 50-minute cities. We're moving towards, a place where you will own nothing and still be happy. And how will you be happy? You'll be plugged into the matrix. You'll be plugged into the metaverse. You'll be consuming content 24/7. You'll be gooning out to porn. You'll be isolated, video gaming, watching TikTok all day. Your brain's melting. So the good thing is you won't be smart enough to realize how fucked you really are. It's just going to be a life of absolute shit. Right? There's no better word than to describe what the future is going to be like. It's going to be shit. Right? We're about to have a stock market crash. Silver is an all-time high, gold is at an all-time high, and the reason for that is because the financial markets, people are trying to escape financial markets. Okay, the stock market is at an all-time high, but it is really propped up. It is an AI bubble. All these AI companies are just selling toward moving money around, selling to each other to inflate their books, to inflate their stock valuation. At some stage, that bubble will pop, and the repercussions from that are going to be, beyond anything that you've ever seen. I mean, if you're young right now, just Google the, great financial, the crash, what was it, the financial crisis of 2008, or you can look at the stock market crash of 2028, and just see what the repercussions from that was. Okay. With AI coming, with people being displaced in jobs, people will be unemployed. People would have lost all their money in the stock market, and then the only solution, the only place they can turn to will be for government handouts. And once you start accepting government handouts, once the government is in charge of your life, via digital, central bank digital currencies, then they'll be able to dictate what you do, what you can't do, where you move to, where you go, how you behave, how you live. It'll be a social credit system, and if you don't do what the people in charge tell you to do, then you'll be fucked. Okay, it'll be literally like an episode of Black Mirror.
He got to be 8 feet tall and have a 9.5-inch, stick. You know what I mean? Just to if he wants to crack, like he's got to make 6 figures, and he got to have all this. And if your first date is not to Nobu, if your first date is not at the Masoni room at the Biblos, then it's over. You know what I mean? They're delusional. So what ends up happening, and obviously not all of them, but dating is just very difficult because women have these crazy high expectations. All right. And so what ends up happening is the average guy dates one of these girls, and it's like very difficult, right? You keep getting ghosted. You keep, you getting left on scene, getting left undelivered. You going on dates and they taking you for granted. You not cracking, no buns at all, bro. And in this video, I'm basically about to go over how you can avoid all of this and basically fix the entire dating game. Like, this is going to be the only video that you really need. Yeah. So here's the thing with women, because of, this thing that they've been sold that, you can just use your looks and your beauty to basically get ahead in life. And, you don't really need to treat men with respect. And, you don't need to, they don't believe in traditional relationships these days no more. They go 2 routes, right? They are not all, but, they start indulging in hoism, right? And they go 1 or 2 routes. See, there's 2 different types of hoes, 2 different types of bops, right? You got the 10%, right? The 10% are real freaks. They are in it for the love of the game. They love getting cracked, right? Now, these girls who are the real freaks, right? It's not most girls, right? But they just love getting cracked just solely for the sake of getting cracked, right? So they will either one.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, it probably speaks to a lot of the types of women that he himself hangs around with, that all he seems to meet is women that are just hoes and want to present themselves as hoes. To avoid all that, right, become somebody who is known, somebody who is seen as a thought leader, somebody who is seen as a subject matter expert, become somebody people can rely on, become a leader. The world needs leaders. The world is fucked right now, right? if it ain't going to be you, who will it be, right? If you ever thought in your life that you wanted to have a moment, like the scene in the movie where you know you make the decision to become the hero, right, or just become one of the people in the background. This is this moment, right? Like we are literally just a couple years away. This year, next year, if you don't start, putting things into place, building your kingdom, networking with kings, you'll be left behind, and your future. I hate to be in your shoes when you're in that place, but let's jump into this other bit about why guys aren't going out.
In a big city this weekend, you'll notice something right away. There's girls everywhere. Bars, restaurants, clubs, 85% women now.
Yeah, women are told to socialize. It is expected for them to socialize because it is expected for a woman to portray herself on social media, right? And when you have women who are receiving money from men, if a woman has no incentive to save any money from their job, they are willing to spend it out in order to be seen as social, to go out, to be having fun, and live that life like a social media influencer.
And I picked up on this a while ago, just living in New York, but now it's gotten even more obvious, and girls are confused as to what's going on. Like, where are all the guys at?
You better pay attention to me tonight. I'm so fucking sick of this shit. Oh my god. Touch a boob, buy a drink. I mean, it's like very
she's telling you to touch a boob. Like, let's say that happened. She's being facetious. She's trying to be funny. If someone groped a tit, literally, it would be, the police would be called down. She would video you on social media, and she'll be plastering on social media and making sure that she gets enough attention that you are put behind bars or that your whole life is fucking ruined. So don't listen to what this woman has to say.
I'm so fucking sick of this shit. Oh my god. Touch a boob, buy a drink. I mean, it's like very fucking simple.
Now, obviously, I can't speak for everyone, but as a dude who's from a major city, who stopped going out,
like guys don't buy drinks anymore because it's like, what do you get in return? What do you get in return for buying a girl a drink? Right? You're seen as a nobody. You're literally just seen as somebody. You're seen as a drink dispenser. You're seen as a bartender at that point. Don't put yourself in that position like that. Become a king. Have women buy you drinks. Have women lining up to gain your favor.
every weekend. I feel like I have some insight to share on why when you go out now you see 85% girls and why the majority of guys are off that. So let's get right into it. The first thing I want to talk about is what I call the humiliation ritual that is now part of going out, right? So to run a trendy bar, club, restaurant in a city like New York, for example, you need exclusivity. That's just how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I used to go out to a lot of high-end nightclubs here in London, and right, like girls get free entry because girls are the currency of nightlife. It's guys, and guys are there to buy tables, to buy drinks for everyone, because guys compete by who has the most resources, the most money, and women compete of who's the most prettiest, right? So the richest guy will end up buying the prettiest girl drink, or the prettiest girl will be on the richest guy's table. That's just how it works in nightclubs, and but the nightclub is made to make you feel small. It's made to make you feel poor. If you don't get a table and you have to get a drink by going to the bar, then you're going to feel like you're going to be treated like absolute scum, because the bar staff are told to make you feel like that, so that the next time you come is you either don't come at all or that you buy a table next time.
Like these huge groups of girls that you see out and about all dressed up, you know where they're going, the exclusive trendy spots that they probably saw on like TikTok, right? And this has always been the case, but now it's just getting to a ridiculous point, right? You can't just go to cool places as a guy with your friends anymore. There's going to be a line or a cover fee, or you need reservations.
Yeah, if you need to, if you're not jumping the queue, if you're not jumping the line, if you're not going straight to the front of the queue to get into a restaurant or a club, don't go in, because it means that you're not of that level of caliber of person yet. become a king, become somebody who's known. Make friends with these people, so then next time you pull up, that you can go straight to the front instead of having to queue up like the peasants. Be a king, be seen as a king, and enjoy life.
There's always some sort of humiliation ritual to get into the spots these days. These girls, it's like you can't even blame them for going out so much. It's a whole different experience, right? They go with their friends, they skip the line, everything is free, all the bouncers love you. Like, I've seen my friends get dragged out by the neck by bouncers for like not knowing that you couldn't vape. I mean, vaping is low-key, he deserved it, but like it's just the way you get treated as a dude. It's like you're paying to get treated like shit, right? Like, let's say you're walking around with a group of your guy friends trying to get into cool places. Oh my God, in New York now, it's like you might as well be wearing shirts that say, like, we're big fat morons, because that's what you're going to get treated like. And a lot of dudes, like myself included, are just done with this. Like, what's the return? Like, money has...
And that is the question you have to ask yourself. What is the return? What is the point? What are we trying to do here? Okay. If you're just participating in the game, if you don't have access to resources, if you are just someone that people just look at dispensable, that they just want you and your money and extract all the resources from you and then throw you away, you're in the wrong spot. That's why men are checking out. That's why people are checking out from society. People are quiet quitting, people are loud quitting, people are walking away. Okay. And the answer to all this is to establish a kingdom and build an alliance with other kings.
It's always been the filter for nightlife and having fun at night, going out. But now the filter, it's just between, the humiliation rituals and the financial burden. A lot of guys like myself, it's just like, I'd rather spend this money elsewhere. The vodka soda money and, the money I'm paying the bouncer to get in, whatever. Like, this is awful. I'm not getting anything in return for this. I'd rather go on trips. I'd rather save it, go out, have a nice dinner, like with people that I actually enjoy talking to, that I can hear, have a conversation with. It's like anywhere but at some stinky bar or club that treats me like shit. So let's say you and your boys, you go out and you get done with the humiliation ritual. You're like, fuck it, we'll wait in line, we'll pay the cover, whatever. The drinks are $20, but we're trying to have fun, we're trying to meet girls. So you're in the spot, right? The amount of times the past few years where I've been in a place and I'm looking around, I'm like, I'm not having fun. I'm like looking at people, I'm like, they don't look like they're having fun. It's like no one's having fun anymore. Like,
I remember I was in a nightclub in London, and me and my friends, we got a table there. I had a friend come down from, he lives in New York. He came to London to visit, and we went out. We got a table at this place. We got in just before 12 o'clock. So I think maybe 11:45. And it doesn't really get live until like 12, 12:30. And then, that's when the party kind of starts. But what I noticed was like all these girls were there right at the start of the night, because they get the girls in first, because they come in for free, to create an atmosphere, right? And they were all there taking their pictures. And then by the time it was 12:30, before it really, really kicked off, before it got really busy, they all were leaving because they only wanted the pictures and the social validation of being there. And once they had all their content, in essence, they posted it onto their, Instagram stories, onto their Instagram page. And then they just left because even they know it's not fun, but they want to be seen there and get all the clout that comes with it.
it would be different if you get into these places and people are dancing and like it's just like good vibes, good energy, good music, but it's not. Like, I'm no Michael Jackson, but it just feels like going to a club or a nightlife situation bar where no one's dancing. It's like going to a restaurant that doesn't serve food. It's like I've been looking up like videos of nightclubs in the 80s, and it's like, oh my god, I for sure would have gotten down with this. Like, at least back in the day you could bust some moves and like have fun, just like let go a little bit. But now it's like, what are we even fucking doing here?
Yeah, fun has been commoditized. There is no more fun. There's no more socializing. People just doing it to create an image, to be seen as to be cool. But once you get in a position like that, then nothing ends up being cool, and everything is just for the image that you try to curate. Okay, let's jump into this final video about introverts and how they are hated.
I'm an adult in my younger days, you know, when I was like 10, 15 years ago, around, 17 to 12 years old or even younger. I was actually a very quiet person. Now, if you guys don't really believe me on this, I have some footage I want to show y'all of me when I was like 14.
Hey guys, this is a channel update of my new channel, Shadow Grave 13561. Apparently, I got a huge copyright strike with my other channel, so I had to terminate it, well not terminate it, close it because of too many copyright strikes, but I'm looking for video.
Not the most outgoing person as I seem to be right now. And that's because it took a lot of practice to get out of my social bubble. And I want to talk about today's topic about why a lot of people really do not understand introverts and why they're misunderstood. Now, this has obviously taken some inspirations from other YouTubers that's talked about this subject, but bro, this subject really hits close to home for me as well, because I remember being an introvert when I was really young, to the point where I didn't really go outside to touch grass or even socialize with people. And there's a reason why I didn't do that, because one, I was super hooked on video games, playing old school like PS2, obviously Call of Duty, and everything else too when it came to my, childhood. And the interesting part is that none of my family was really introverted like that, so they didn't really understand why I was so to myself when I was younger when it came to my hobbies or, being able to not really socialize with a lot of people. Because the reason why I was so quiet, because one, I really enjoyed my video games, and two, I just didn't really like how much it drained my social battery. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that some people have different types of social batteries. And
yeah, especially that now, because people they're not able to, they haven't really socialized, so their capacity to socialize becomes very low. They get very tired very easily, which is why people have more social anxiety, and they choose to stay in over going out and experiencing the world. That is not what I want for you. I want you to go out there. I want you to experience everything. I want you to become somebody who is taking charge of their life and enjoying it to the fullest.
Limits of how much they want to talk before they feel drained and worn out. Some people have a limited social battery, or they gain energy from talking to other people by going outside and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, it's a really interesting perspective when you understand it, but it's really terrible when, you're super exhausted and you just need to sit down, clear your head for a second, and just relax and have some peace and quiet, so then you can recharge and be ready to go again. Another thing I also do remember as a kid too is that my social skills were never really well organized or trained, because when I was really young I played a lot of video games before I even got my social battery or social skills down. And so I didn't really learn a lot in that social department yet, and I had a lot of anxiety and social problems for a while, and I used to overthink every little day.
And everyone's got fucking anxiety these days, right? Everyone's got fucking problems. The only winners of life will be the people who are able to focus and push past their fears, their anxieties, to get those things under control and move towards success, right? You will be left behind if you aren't able to complete those things, if you're unable to perform those things. How will you ever become a king if you have fear, if you have self-doubt? You need to overcome it, you need to conquer it, and you need to be willing to go into the darkness, into a place of the unknown. That's the only way you can gain knowledge, gain new strategies, view the world from a new lens. And that is how you promote yourself and become larger than life.
Damn thing, bro. Overthinking was one of the worst things that anyone can go through, but I swear, when I was younger, I used to overthink every little situation and cared way too much what other people were thinking about, when in reality, none of those people were thinking about anything that's going through my head. I do find out it was all in my head in that aspect, but holy shit, dude. I kind of wish I did develop my social skills better when I was younger, but, it's never too late, and I'm kind of glad I got out of that bubble, because if I didn't push myself to get more social and talkative, who knows where the fuck I'd be right now. But coming from a guy who has considered himself a little bit of both introverted and extroverted now, I will say is one of the reasons why a lot of introverts are very hated now, or just very looked down upon, is that a lot of people who are extroverted does not like the peace and quiet, and they feel like they're being ignored, or they're just simply being rude. Obviously, it's not always true because some people will just choose not to talk, and that's fine too. Because sometimes, bro, it's more wise and easier to listen to somebody talk than just to always have a conversation with every little thing you have to say. It's good to have some confidence, but when you're kind of always needing to talk to someone just to get some energy out of you by being extroverted, it could be a little too much. But honestly, I do kind of like sitting back every once in a while and just listening to people talk without having to say much because it can be very interesting. And once you have that.
Yeah, you should be able to switch between the two whenever you feel like it. You're in charge of your own life. If you don't want to talk, don't talk. If you want to talk to somebody, you should be able to just strike up a conversation, engage quickly if they want to continue the conversation with you or they don't, right? It is down to you. You have to develop those social skills if you want to maximize your life.
That right person, it gets a lot better. And that goes into my other reason is that other introverts do prefer more like on a one-on-one interaction because they have deeper connections with people and they have less friendships with multiple people, if that makes sense. Like there's some people that don't have as much good connections when you have a lot of friends, but when you have like that one or two really good friend that you have a deep connection with, I do find it a bit more valuable. And I don't know, man, it just hits fucking different. And it's okay if you don't want to go outside and do stuff too, because being a homebody, man, if you're really resourceful and you're smart, it really is a really peaceful environment to be in sometimes. And
No, it is a peaceful environment to be in, but are you really maximizing your life at that point? Right, you need social interactions if you want to, ascend to the next level in essence, right? If you want to gain those peak experiences, if you want to live life in your terms, have people who follow you. If you want to become a leader, you need those social skills, and not be afraid to put yourself out there, right? Like it's easily done. I work with people to overcome those things, and help people achieve their dream life.
there's times where I don't always feel like going out because there's other things you could do besides going out every single weekend. Another reason why a lot of people don't seem to like introverts because a lot of people think they're really boring, right? But actually, once you kind of get to know an introvert,
The thing with an introvert and why they come across as boring is because it takes a long time for their real personality to come out. Whereas like extroverts, or a lot of fake extroverts, for example, is like they just put on this facade where they just come in, oh hey, I'm like this, I'm this type of person, I'm loud, I'm obnoxious, they're really in your face, but it's just a character that they perform, just to kind of gain your attention, and then after a while they kind of fizzle down, and that's when the real self comes out. Okay, and it's a good strategy. It beats the introvert strategy because most introverts just get ignored and passed over.
a lot of them are not really that boring. They just have different hobbies and different interests in reality. Because not everyone wants to be that, alpha Chad male to go out every single fucking day just to drink a bunch of beers and talk a bunch of bullshit. While sometimes it's really interesting and cool to have someone, have really cool conversations about either things they're passionate about.
Who wants to have these fucking boring conversations? Do you know what I mean? Like, what are these people fucking doing? It's like they should. The only people that you want to spend time with and speak to is people who will help you achieve your goals, people who will move you forward in life. Okay, don't just want. If all your goals revolve around you putting yourself there, so you can have friends that you can have interesting conversations with, it's like you're better off just reading an interesting book at that point because you're going to gain more knowledge from a curated book. Right? Don't just strive for the bare minimum. It's like, oh, I want to have an interesting conversation. It's like, no, like, put yourself out there, have interesting conversations with other kings, with other people who want to build things with you, and people who want to live life on their own terms. Because that's the type of people I want to meet. That's the type of people I want to be friends with. Welcome back, Anthony from Montreal. I hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you around for a couple of days, so I hope everything's going good. I'm an INTJ. We don't make friends. We get adopted by extroverts. That's funny. If you're an INTJ, I'm actually an ENTJ. So I think INTJs are more architects. If that's correct. INTJ personality type. Yeah. So the INTJ personality is is a strategist. You're analytical and you're a strategist, independent, self-confident, future-focused, intensely curious, decisive and structured, strength, strategic thinking, highly intellectual, determined, ambitious, and objective. Yep. Yeah, even though you're an INTJ and you know you tend to be more introverted, you know, you can learn skills of extroversion, and you should be the one adopting extroverts, right? Put yourself in a position where, you know, you're an INTJ, but you can play the part of an extrovert, okay? And then you can adopt other extroverts and make them do the work for you, okay? Become the leader, Anthony. I want you to be in charge of your life. I want you to become somebody who other people want to be adopted by, okay? I want you to be the person who women line up to date you. I want you to be in total control and going for whatever it is that makes you truly happy. That is it for today. I'm glad, Anthony. I'm glad you stopped by. I'll be back tomorrow. I hope to see you tomorrow, Anthony. I hope everything's well. And everybody else, thank you very much. And I will see you soon. Take care of yourselves and keep fighting that good fight.